Hey, there you go. Welcome to Upgrade Your Self-Confidence, everyone. My name is Iona Barker. I am a coach and counsellor, and I specialise in self-confidence. Self-confidence is a large topic. Tonight, we're going to cover the topic of the inner critic, which I feel is very important when it comes to self-confidence. Let me know in the chat or when you're watching back or watching on Facebook if you've heard of the phrase inner critic before, or if this is a new phrase to you. Let me know if you've heard of inner critic before. Yes. Yes. Okay, perfect. Amazing. So before we get started, we're going to do a little exercise, a little centering, calming exercise to get us in the zone so that we can receive the most from this class. So if it's safe for you to do so, I'm going to ask you to sit in your chair or lay down, wherever you are, with your back straight and your neck straight, and close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And we're going to imagine that we have a magical squeegee, like the thing you use for cleaning windows. And we're going to wipe away, we're going to squeegee away all the tension from our body, starting from the top of our head. And as we breathe in and out, in through our nose, out through our mouth, we're going to imagine wiping away the tension from the top of our head, our face, our eyebrows. Give your eyebrows and your jaw a wiggle. From your jaw, your cheeks, your mouth, your neck, your head, your shoulders. Give your shoulders a roll and imagine that you're wiping away any tension. Your chest, your arms. Give your wrists a roll and imagine any tension getting wiped out from the tips of your fingers. And then into your internal organs in your body, so your heart and your lungs and your esophagus and your stomach and your gut and your liver and your kidneys, all of these amazing systems. Imagine that all the tension is being wiped away right now as we speak. Whoosh, whoosh, it's getting whooshed away by this magical squeegee. And then down into the lower part of the body, so the abdomen and the buttocks areas, we're going to unclench and just relax the lower part of our body. And then our thighs, tops of our legs, our hips, going down to our knees, just everything settling and all the tension being released from the top of our knees. Perhaps we've had a busy, long day and we've been walking around, or perhaps we've been sitting all day. We're just going to release any tension. We don't have to do anything. Just imagine that this squeegee, this magical squeegee, is wiping away any tension from our legs, the lower part of our body, and then our calves, ankles. Give your ankles a roll, give your toes a wiggle, releasing any tension from the tips of our toes, and imagine any excess tension just coming out the soles of your feet like a pressure cooker, like someone's just taken the lid off a pressure cooker and the steam is coming flooding out of your body, and that steam is the tension. So we're just going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth for another couple of moments. And as you do this, tap into the feeling. Make a mental note what that breath feels like as it comes into your nose. What does that air feel like? What does it feel like against your nostrils? Is it cool, warm? Is it prickly? Can you feel it against the inside of your nostrils? Can you feel it entering your lungs? And as we breathe out, make a mental note. What does that feel like? What does the air feel like as it leaves the mouth? Is it cool? Is it warm? What does it feel like? Can you feel it against your tongue, your cheeks, your lips? And what we're doing here is we're bringing our attention from our critical thinking mind into our physical and emotional body, the feeling part of our body, because we spend a lot of our time in our heads throughout the day, and it's really helpful and it's really beneficial to pop back into our physical body. So that's what we're doing here. And now I'm going to ask you to place one hand or both hands open up in the center of your chest. And as you breathe in, can you feel your chest rise up? And as you breathe out, can you feel your chest sink back down? So breathing in, sinking down, breathing out. And we're going to feel the weight, the full weight of our bodies on our seat. We're going to set the intention to feel relaxed right now in this moment. There's nothing for us to do apart from to be and receive. We could do some thinking if we feel like it. We could do some writing if we feel like it. But there's no pressure. We don't have to do anything. We can practice being human beings. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to just be here. Relaxed, in a nice, calm, relaxed state. Give out a few sighs of relief as you breathe out. And that really tells the body that it's time. It's time to settle. It's time to relax. Obviously, if you're in public, you can do what you need to do. But if you're by yourself or you're somewhere that you're not going to be seen or heard, you can just have a nice loud sigh out. Okay, and when you're ready, you can pop back into the room. Join me. Pop back. Amazing. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. How's everyone feeling? Are you all feeling a little bit more centered, a little bit more relaxed now? Excellent. Yeah, it's really good. I love doing this exercise, just like imagining the magical squeegee, wiping away any tension, imagining any like tension exiting from the soles of our feet, like a pressure cooker, like we just lifted the lid up. And then also we can ground as well. We maybe do some grounding later on, where you imagine you have tree roots coming out the soles of your feet and embedding in the ground. We'll do that in a bit later on. Okay, so the inner critic. What is the inner critic? The inner critic is the voice, right? The main voice that we have going in our system that can be quite negative, that can be quite harsh and critical, right? It's the inner critic, it's critical. I would love to know right now, if you could pop in the chat, where in life you want to experience more confidence, right? You're here for a reason, and that's because you feel like you want to experience more self-confidence. Is there a place in life, in particular, an area, a specific place in life where you want to feel more confident? That could be in your job, that could be in relationships, that could be in general, like across the board. Socially, relationships, amazing, thank you for sharing. Yeah, finances, right? Asking for more money. Perhaps you want to feel more confident in asking for what you're worth. Public speaking, work, amazing, love it, thank you. So how I present and show up for myself in relationships, amazing, thank you. In general, but mostly work. Okay, awesome. So write that down on your paper if you feel like you want to, because it's really good to come back to that, to know what it is that we want to experience, because then we can laser focus. We can more laser focus where we want to go and what we want to do with our confidence. So the relationship with ourself, I believe, is the most important relationship we'll ever have, right? We're made to believe, right, by society and culture and religion and education and whatnot, and other people, that our relationships with others are more important, so that we have to give to others. But I believe in my core that the relationship that we have with ourselves is really the only relationship that matters. The relationship that we have with ourselves is reflected back in the relationships with others, right? So the relationship with ourselves is based on the relationship that was modeled to us when we were little, as we were growing up. So what was modeled to us? If you can think about your life and your family members and how you experienced others growing up, how were you treated emotionally? Were we ever made to feel ashamed? Were we ever made to feel bad, guilty, wrong? One thing that I teach on in my practice is shame, right? We get taught shame. We get shamed as human beings. And shame is the fundamental belief that I am bad, flawed, and wrong. There's also guilt. Guilt is I have done bad, I have done wrong. What I did was flawed. But shame is I am bad, I am flawed, I am wrong. And shame gets used a lot. Gets used a lot in society to keep people in a specific mindset, to keep people in a specific place of emotion, right? We may have never been verbally shamed by others, but we may have been made to feel shame at some point in our life, usually probably in our early years, by teachers, parents, people in our community, family members. And that has become the basis of our relationship with ourselves. We start to shame ourselves via the inner critic. The inner critic begins to shame us. We start to feel like it's not safe. The world isn't safe. Relationships aren't safe. My job's not safe. I'm not safe. Friends aren't safe. People aren't safe. If I was to go out and do this thing, X, Y, and Z would happen. Because, and usually the root cause of that is because we believe that we're not good enough, or that we're flawed and we're bad and we're wrong. We learn to shame ourselves, or we learn to shame ourselves for not being enough, for not feeling enough, for not being happy enough, for not having enough money. We shame ourselves if we are in recovery, right? If we have health. We shame ourselves if we are on government support, right? We tend to beat up on ourselves. My question to you is, what was modeled to you by others? What did you observe from others as you were growing up? And has that created the relationship between you and you, or has that created part of the relationship between you and you? With many of my clients, when we first start, sometimes we like to do a family of origin, right? Where we look at the mental, emotional, and physical health of everyone around us to get a better picture of who we are. Because I believe in nurture and nature, right? Nature and nurture. But I believe that many of us are molded and sculpted emotionally, mentally, and physically by what we experienced, by what we saw when we were growing up. The inner critic is loveless. The inner critic can be abusive and conditional. It can be a bully, right? The inner critic can bully. The criticism that we receive from our inner critic can be unrelenting, right? It can be rageful. It can be scornful. When we experience this in early life, it actually changes the structure of our brain. It actually changes the chemistry of our brain. Has anyone ever heard of neural pathways before? Does anyone know what a neural pathway is? Because a neural pathway is our thoughts and our feelings. It's like a path in the snow. And the more we tread that path, the more we automatically, that becomes our baseline, that becomes our thoughts and our feelings. So if we've experienced something, or we've been made to feel something, or we've modeled something on what we've seen, on what we've experienced early in life, then our inner critic becomes like an automatic neural pathway. When we go to set up, when we go to stand up and do the thing, right, like relationships or jobs or asking for more money or public speaking or whatever it is, immediately the inner critic comes in, because it's a worn path in the snow. It's a neural pathway that's so ingrained in our system because perhaps we haven't had anyone tell us otherwise. If you're from, I mean, I would say that I wouldn't even consider it to be just a British thing, right? But many cultures, including the British culture or the Scottish culture, we're very self-deprecating, and we like to beat up on ourselves because we think it's funny. But actually, the brain and the body doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real, what's real and what's imagined. So if you're beating up on yourself constantly, and your inner critic is constantly beating up on you, then your body and your brain don't know the difference. They believe that it's actually happening, and that the neural pathways become strong, right? They become really strong. So repetition creates these neural pathways of self-hate, self-disgust, the inner critic. The inner critic is all of the criticism that we received when we were little, balled up into one big energetic sphere that lives inside of us. And the more we ignore it, or the more that we let it be without questioning it, the more we will find ourselves lacking self-confidence, lacking self-esteem, lacking self-concept. These are the 3 pillars of self-confidence that I teach. Self-concept is what we think of ourselves. Self-esteem is how we feel about ourselves. Self-confidence is the energy that we show up in the world with the self. So if we have an inner critic that's very harsh and judgmental and full of self-hate, full of disgust, then our self-esteem is going to be low, our self-concept is going to be low, and our self-confidence is going to be low. We're not going to want to step out and do the thing. We're going to think of ourselves as someone who is not worthy, not good enough, bad, wrong, flawed. We're going to see ourselves as broken. We're going to feel shame and powerlessness and not good enoughness. We emotionally abuse ourselves with the inner critic. We do. If you are receiving from an external source the things that your inner critic says to you, and I'm just as guilty. My inner critic loves to go on a rampage. I would consider that as abusive. So how do we break out of this? The inner critic takes the color out of life. We have to put the color back into our lives. We have to stick up for ourselves. We have to take our own sides. We have to work on our self-esteem, our self-concept, and our self-confidence. We have to do the inner work, right? It's not up to anyone else to transform us. It's not up to anyone else to integrate the inner critic. It's an inside job, and it has to come from us, within us. Yes, we can reach out and we can ask for help, and we can use modalities and coaches and therapists and counselors. I always encourage, if you are doing the work with someone else, do the work on your own as well. We don't protect ourselves from the inner critic. Many of us don't protect ourselves from our inner critic because we never had protection when we were little. Most of us were criticized when we were little. In fact, many of us perhaps still are, by colleagues, by partners, by parents, by grandparents, by people in our lives, by people in our families, our neighbors. It just becomes like background noise. It becomes like a broken record. Who gets to decide that you are good enough? Who gets to decide that actually, do you know what? You're not flawed. You're not broken. You're a good person because you care, because you're here. Who gets to decide that? Do your neighbors get to decide? Does your partner get to decide? Do your parents get to decide? I would say that if they're being critical of others, of you, of me, then that means that their inner critic must be going off, must be popping off. This is the outer critic. The outer critic projects the shame and the not good enoughness that we feel inside onto others. So we have the inner critic that's pointing inwards, and we have the outer critic that's pointing outwards. It's a hard pill to swallow, but practicing that whenever people criticize us, it rarely has anything to do with us, and usually has more to do with where they are and what their inner critic is telling them is extremely important. And if we've been criticized our whole lives and someone criticizes us, then immediately, automatically, the inner critic's going to pipe up, and it's going to be like, yeah, it is you. Or when we go and do something, when we go and do the thing that we want to do, that we feel low self-confidence in, when we go and try and do it, the inner critic's going to pipe up and say, you're not good enough. You're not worthy. You're lousy. You can't do this. You can't make it. When we reach a peak of inner critic, the inner critic starts to project outwards onto others. So I'll bet you that the people who have criticized and are criticizing have a pretty toxic inner critic. Because how can somebody who has a loving self, of loving relationship with themselves, project that kind of criticism outwards? And of course, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I'm talking about heart, like criticism, right? Like underhanded compliments or like comments, right? Stuff that makes us feel not good enough, stuff that's hurtful. A person who loves themselves and has a good relationship with their self is less likely to project their critic outwards, right? Someone who has a loving relationship with themselves, who's modeling a healthy relationship with themselves, is less likely to project their lack onto other people and their not good enoughness onto other people. So this is why it's really important for us to work on our relationship with ourselves and work on the relationship with the inner critic and stand up to the inner critic. I teach radical, unconditional self-acceptance. Radical, unconditional self-acceptance. Accepting us exactly as we are, right? Regardless of what other people have said, regardless of what we look like, regardless of how much money we have in the bank, regardless of what our jobs are, regardless of what our abilities are or not. Accepting ourselves just as we are is a weapon against the inner critic, because the inner critic can't accept you. The inner critic doesn't want to accept you. We don't want to accept ourselves because we've been made to feel like there's some part of us that's not good enough and it's bad and it's wrong and it's flawed. What did we do, right? If we made a mistake to believe that we are bad and flawed and wrong, we're shaming ourselves because of our mistakes, right? Are mistakes the end of the world, or are mistakes learning opportunities? I would like to believe that mistakes are learning opportunities, that our mistakes are beautiful, amazing learning opportunities. Yeah, they suck at the time, they hurt at the time, but our mistakes are really powerful. We can learn so much with mistakes. There's a meme that I love, and I keep meaning to post it in the Facebook group, and I keep forgetting. It's a stack of books, a small stack of books, right? And it's mistakes I learned from, lessons I learned from making mistakes. And the stack of books is really tall, like really, really tall. And lessons I learned from others is like the next one. And lessons I learned from experience is the next one. The biggest pile of books is the lessons I learned from making mistakes. Because if we make a mistake, we're less likely to do it again. We get shamed for our mistakes, right? Our current system, education system, is set up to shame us for making mistakes. If we were raised by a parent who had a vocal inner critic, had a harsh inner critic, then they may have shamed us for making mistakes. I believe that our mistakes are powerful learning opportunities. And I also believe that we are not bad or flawed or wrong. In fact, we are all good at our core. Everyone that's here tonight, I believe, fundamentally, at your core, you are a good person. Yeah, we've done some stupid crap in the past. We've made some mistakes. We've messed up. We've fluffed up a few times. But does that make us a bad person? No. It means that we're human beings. We're not robots. We're human beings. We make mistakes because our mistakes are really awesome learning opportunities. So learning radical, unconditional self-acceptance is really powerful when it comes to our self-confidence. Radical, right? Because it's like unbelievable. Radical. It's unconditional because it doesn't say, I'll only accept myself if I look like this, or I'll only accept myself if I make this much money, or I'll only accept myself if I have a relationship, or I get married, or I have the car, or do the thing. No, it's unconditional. I accept myself regardless of those things. I accept myself because I am alive, because I'm a human being, and because it's an antidote to the inner critic, because the inner critic wants to fight you, wants to fight me, right? My inner critic wants to fight me on my self-acceptance, right? If I radically, unconditionally accept myself just as I am right now, my inner critic wants to pipe in and go, yeah, but you've not done this yet, or you've not experienced this, or what about that thing that you did? And I go, I accept myself. What about if we were to radically, unconditionally accept others in spite of and regardless of their flaws and regardless of their mistakes? Because we're not perfect. We have to accept ourselves regardless of what we've done and who we are, regardless of our flaws. Nothing is perfect. Perfectionism is a big BS lie, right? It's impossible. It's exhausting. Believe me, I've tried. It's exhausting. And we don't do burnout here. I don't do burnout, right? So accepting our imperfections, our perfect imperfections, and having radical, unconditional self-acceptance is really powerful, but it's freaking tough, right? Because we haven't treaded that path in the snow yet. Accept myself? How could I? Because I have all this stuff. I have all these things, right? I've got this stuff that's wrong with me. And so said this, and so said that. And I had this thing, or I've not done this thing, or my parents said this about me, or they treated me like that. They can't accept me. Then how can I accept myself? My answer to that would be, did they accept themselves? And because they couldn't accept you, that means they couldn't accept themselves. And because they couldn't accept you or didn't accept you doesn't mean that you're unacceptable. If anything, it means that you are so acceptable, right? Your acceptability is infinite. You have infinite acceptability. And you probably just peed them off because you were so acceptable. They couldn't, I'm not acceptable, so how can they be acceptable? So I'm going to make them feel bad because I don't want them to be acceptable. I want them to be unacceptable. I want them to feel unacceptable, right? That's how powerful the inner critic is. When the inner critic reaches a peak and a height of like power within the body, within the system, within the nervous system, it starts to lash out. It starts to criticize others. That phrase, that saying that I love, right, is one finger pointing this way, right? Point your finger at someone else, and you have like three pointing back at you, right? The critic, actually, the outer critic, when we get criticized by others, is rarely about us, and usually about that person and how they feel about themselves. Them observing perhaps something that they don't like about themselves within us and them going out of their way to make us feel bad about it. It has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with them. And it takes practice. So I would love to encourage you to practice radical, unconditional self-acceptance, which is really freaking hard. I know it's freaking hard because we've been taught that we're not acceptable unless we do the thing or unless we have the thing. But what if you were acceptable? What if you could be acceptable, right? Hypothetically, if feeling acceptable feels too far away, what would it feel like if you were hypothetically acceptable? If you could accept yourself, what would that feel like? Pop in the chat. What does accepting yourself feel like? What might it feel like? Beautiful, thank you. Raquel says freedom and peace, and Charlotte says peace and forgiving. Kelly says liberating. Absolutely. Yeah. Ashley says self-assured. Love it. Confidence, right? All of these things. Free from judgment. Absolutely, Tony. Absolutely. Maria says acceptance. Yep. So I feel like it feels like relief. For me, it feels like relief because I'm like, oh, thank God, I don't have to like work so freaking hard, right? I don't have to effort so much. I'll put in so much effort to be and do and have, and I can just be a human being. I can just live, right? So he says, feeling on top, love it. And Raquel says, all of the above, absolutely, all of this, all of it. It's all good. It's all so good. It feels like relief. It feels like, oh, thank God, I don't have to do all that. I don't have to like, I no longer have to show up. I can, if I want to, if I feel like it, but I can also be effortless, right? I can be effortless. Like I can step up to do the public speaking, right? And I can as myself. And if someone wants to criticize me, then that means that, and I've made a mistake perhaps, and they've criticized my mistake, it's a perfect learning opportunity for me. And I can also understand intellectually and at some level emotionally now, because I've been practicing it, right? That it's not about me. I perhaps triggered something within them that has made them project their fear or their not enoughness or not good enoughness onto me. So that really has nothing to do with me. So cool. Relief. So last week we did some work on the inner child. And this week, I wanted to just kind of brush in on the inner child a little bit more. So I like to teach a relationship with the self. And one of those selves, right, one of those parts is the inner child. And this may be new to many people here. So let me know if you have or have not heard of the inner child before, yes or no. You heard of the inner child? Okay. Perfect. So when it comes to doing the thing that you want to do, whether that is relationships or work or public speaking or putting yourself out there or whatever it is that you want to do, can you think of a time when you were younger, when you went to do the thing where you're experiencing low confidence and perhaps it didn't work out, perhaps something happened where you were triggered or you made a mistake or you were made to feel bad? Can you think of you, and if you can't think of it off the top of your head, pick an age, right? So if relationships was something that I was wanting to work on, I might think about a boy I had a crush on in high school, right? And he rejected me. So relationships are not safe for me. I have trouble feeling confident around relationships because I fear rejection. Or if you perhaps want to work on your job, right? And I think back to a time I was 15 and I had my first job cleaning glasses in a bar. And it was really exhausting and tiring, and I've got this, whatever it is. Can you radically, unconditionally accept that version of yourself for who they are in that moment, no matter what happened, whether they made a mistake or whether they were rejected or whatever happened? Can you radically and unconditionally accept that child, teenager, early 20s, whomever it is, whatever age they are, I should say? Can you accept them? Are they acceptable to you? And if they're not acceptable to you, then I would ask the question, why? What is it about them that is unacceptable to you? How can they become acceptable to you? Can they be acceptable simply because they are alive? Can they be acceptable because they're young and they're learning? And like I said before, mistakes are learning opportunities. Can they be acceptable to you? Can you radically and unconditionally accept them? So unconditionally, as in, they don't need to do anything to be acceptable, right? They don't need to be or try to do anything or be anything. They don't have to get good grades. They don't have to learn how to drive that car. They don't have to find that husband or wife or whatever. They can just be acceptable with or without the thing. How does that feel? Pop in the chat, share with me, let me know. Let me know how it feels. Or let me know what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. And if you've not done this before, then don't worry. It takes a little while to get into the swing of it. If you're using our memory and our imagination and our emotional and mental body, we do a lot of this on these calls because it's really good practice. There's no such thing as yesterday and tomorrow. There's only in the now moment. So when we can go back in time with our now moments, we can actually change the past. We can rewrite those neural pathways, I believe, quicker, right? More efficiently. We can decide, we can pin laser point right to the moment where we felt like we weren't good enough, or we felt that we had to be ashamed of ourselves. Liz says, intellectually, yes, physically is harder. Yes, absolutely. Because we've been taught to use our brains and not our feeling bodies. Ashley says it's hard to accept the younger me. I'm not sure why. Okay, perfect. So it kind of reminds me I have still a lot of work to do still. Well, I mean, the good news is that we have the rest of our lives, right, to do this work. You could do it, like, you know, keep doing it every Thursday. Make Thursday your I do the work day, right? The work never stops, right? That's a good thing and a bad thing, right? It means we have the rest of our lives to do the work, but it also means that we have, you know, many of us, we have decades of stuff, right? We have decades of baggage, decades of feeling not good enough, decades of powerlessness, decades of fear and unacceptance, and the inner critic knocking at the door. Yes, I can accept that person. It's natural to make mistakes. It can, however, be stressful and daunting. Nope. How others might perceive you in family and how they might make you feel. Yeah, absolutely, Suki. That's a great point. Charlotte says it's hard to radically accept ourselves in situations where we did wrong. Where does the blame go? Feels like I'm getting off easy by accepting myself. That's a great question, Charlotte. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. That's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's challenging to radically accept ourselves in situations where we did wrong, right? When we made a mistake, right? Our inner critic loves to blame. It loves to blame us and it loves to blame others, right? It needs a scapegoat. So that scapegoat is usually us, but the scapegoat can be others too. And by scapegoating ourselves, by beating up on ourselves, and by keeping ourselves small using the inner critic, it means that we are safe, right? We keep ourselves safe. We don't feel the hurt and the pain that we perhaps did when we experienced we did something wrong. And what you've said there is a great example. It feels like I'm getting off easy, right? Here's the thing, right? We've, again, as society, we've been made to believe that it has to be hard, that it has to be tough, that it has to be all about struggle, that we have to struggle and sacrifice and work our freaking butts off. But what if that was just another story? That was just another perspective that someone has projected onto us. We've been made to believe that we have to berate ourselves and we have to beat up on ourselves. So what would happen, right? And this is a question for everyone. What would be the worst thing that could happen if we let ourselves get off easy, right? What would be the worst thing that could happen if we were to accept ourselves, especially in situations where we did something wrong, right? Because when we do something wrong, that doesn't make us wrong. It doesn't make us bad or wrong or flawed. We've just done something wrong, right? We've made a mistake. We've done something wrong. And this is like, it could be a level of, there's different levels of mistakes, right? And it could be something really awful that we've done. A repeated pattern, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. And this is perfect because that's exactly what your brain and your nervous system doesn't want to happen. That's why the inner critic is there. The inner critic is there to stop us from doing the same thing again. But I'll bet you that you will never do that thing again. You'll never make that same mistake again. And if you do, then it's another learning opportunity. The fact that we feel guilty, that we feel bad, we feel sad, we feel shame, that is the lesson, right? I love to view our emotions, right? Emotion means energy in motion. I love to view our emotions as our guidance system. Our guidance system shows us where we're not getting our needs met. And they show us where we are going against what we believe to be true about ourselves. If your inner critic pipes up and has a go at you for doing something bad, and you start to feel guilty and sad and bad, and you have this emotional pain, that's your body telling you that this is not true, that this circumstance, these emotions are going against what you, at your core, your true self believes to be true. And we're going to go a little bit further into this because this is like quite quite heavy stuff, right? Charlotte says, also in the same note, where's the line between accepting ourselves and accepting our bad traits, habits that we should do or want to change, like drinking, eating poorly? Yeah, absolutely. This is a perfect question. Thanks for that, Charlotte. So traits and bad habits usually form because we're not accepting ourselves. We've not accepted ourselves, right? We have rejected an aspect of ourselves, and it hurts. And to soothe the hurt, we then, instead of doing the internal work, because we've never been taught how to, and we've observed other people do this too, so we think that's what we have to do, we look outside of ourselves to soothe the pain, right? This is where addictions and things come in, right? And bad habits and things like that, and bad traits, right? Is we have rejected ourselves, and it hurts. The not accepting of ourselves hurts. Perhaps we've not been accepted by another person, the person who we want the acceptance of, crave the acceptance of most, and that hurts. So we start to reject ourselves because it must mean there's something wrong with us. So then we start looking outside of ourselves for ways to soothe ourselves, to soothe the pain, right? Doing things that we know deep down it's not going to help, but it gives us temporary relief in the moment. It helps us in the moment, because we have to do it, right? So what we're going to do now is an exercise called the confidence credit score. And this is going to help us accept ourselves a little bit more. So grab your pen and paper, and we're going to make a list. Top of your paper, or wherever you are on the paper, write down confidence credit score. And to answer your question a little bit further, Charlotte, where's the line between accepting ourselves and accepting our bad habits and traits? I would say that radical unconditional self-acceptance also accepts our bad habits, right? We accept our bad habits, because when we accept when we're doing something that we don't want to do, then it's easier for us to face it, right? And to decide that we don't want to do this anymore. So I hope that answers your question a little bit. Okay. So I want you to think in life about your positive traits. And to help, place your hands, one hand or both hands, in the center of your chest and take a nice deep breath in and out. I want to know, write down on your list, your positive traits, right? I'm a good friend. I'm a good partner. I love animals. Whatever you feel is a positive trait for you. Because this is another way that we can go against, as an antidote for the inner critic. And it also helps our confidence massively. Maybe a positive trait could be, I try my best. Most of the time, right? I try my best sometimes, most of the time. And feel free to share in the chat what you get. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of these. So I'm going to move through them quite quickly. So hands in the center of your chest, open up, take a nice deep breath in and out. Your positive traits. Could be physical, could be like, I like my hair, or I like Raquel says, I'm often doing my best. Love it. Perfect. Okay. Give you another 30 seconds or so to write down your positive traits. Tony says, I'm kind, forgiving, available to help others. Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. I want you to think about your accomplishments, right? What have you accomplished in life? What have you accomplished so far in life? And it could be things like, I got the gold medal in the sports day in school, right? Or I got hit a target in work, or I hit my personal best at the gym. Accomplishments. What have you accomplished so far? Charlotte says, try to spread joy to others, compliment others. I love that. That's awesome. Ooh, solo traveled in Australia. I love it. That's exciting. Tony says, raised a great son who is loving, kind, and helps others in his community, especially young men. That's fantastic, Tony. Well done. Well done, everyone, for those accomplishments. They're amazing. Yeah. So pop these on your list as well, because we're going to use these in the future as well. And I'm doing one too. Raquel says, I made a video game and worked as the art lead. That's so cool. I love it. Awesome. Okay, so accomplishments. So we've done positive traits, and now we're doing accomplishments. Okay, so next question. Good deeds. Good deeds. Good deeds that you have done today, or oh, bye Dawn. See you on the replay. Any good deeds that you have done, right? What have you done today, right? Did you hold a door open for someone? I did at the gym. I held a door open for someone at the gym. Good deeds. I let someone in front of me in the queue in the supermarket. I helped someone out once. I gave them money, a person in the street. What good deeds have you done, right? It could be anything. Ashley says, anytime I lock down here to Little Princess Trust. Oh, amazing. That's so lovely, Ashley. Amazing. Fantastic. Yeah, see? This feels good, right? Feels good. Right. And I don't know about you, but can you hear the inner critic like, ugh, like struggling, like wanting to knock on the door? Right. It's a path well worn. The inner critic is such a well-worn path that we have to make a new path. We have to forge a new path towards better feeling thoughts, better feeling feelings, and radical self-acceptance. Yeah, and trying to find a cap. Exactly, right? Exactly. Because it wants to go down that path. That's the easy path, right? But that's the path. Yeah, okay, it's a safe path, but it's a path that's keeping us low self-confident, right? Or it's a path that's keeping us where we are. It's keeping us feeling stuck, feeling frustrated, feeling like we can't do the thing that we want to do, right? So we've done good deeds. Now think about peak life experiences so far. Peak life experiences so far. Perhaps you did a skydive. I did a skydive and I freaking loved it. Jumped out of a plane. And that was for charity too. So I'm going to write that down. And it's amazing when you think about a lot of these things, like coming back, things that you may have forgotten about, things that you may have forgotten over the years. Peak life experiences so far. Perhaps you got married and that was a really beautiful day. That's one of your peak life experiences that you remember. Perhaps you won an award, or you got, again, that gold medal in the race, right? Whatever it is that you think back and go, that was freaking awesome. Like, I'm really proud. I feel really proud of that moment. Peak life experiences so far. Perhaps you had a child or a couple of children. Amazing, Tony. Marriage counselling. I love it. Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to write down hiring a coach, because that was one of my peak life experiences. I'm also going to write down, and again, remember, pop your hand in the center of your chest and tap in and really think and feel into your life experiences so far. I used to go, before the lockdowns, I used to go to Spain twice a year and help a friend out on her animal. She had a home, like a dog home for like stray dogs. So I'm going to put that down as one of my peak experiences. I used to go and like pick up the droppings and feed the dogs and wash them and things. It was so fun. It was awesome. So peak life experiences so far. A couple of more seconds, 30 more seconds on that, and we'll move on. Scout camps, amazing. I love it. Yeah, we don't have that kind of thing in the UK. Summer holidays, absolutely. Summer holidays were always so fun, playing outside and causing a ruckus. In fact, most holidays, like Christmas and things like that, they were always really, really joyful, because it was just time outside of school. And I don't know about you, but I freaking hated school. Okay, the next one is life enjoyments. Life enjoyments. What in life do you enjoy? What do you enjoy in life? Perhaps it's some chocolate cake. I certainly do. I love a bit of chocolate cake. I love doing these classes, right? This is one of my life enjoyments. I love my job, being a coach and counselor. That's one of my life enjoyments. Vacations, yes, absolutely are. My goodness. Holidays and vacations. Singing, dancing, cheese and chocolate. Yeah, absolutely. Hanging with my grandchildren, fantastic. I love being creative. That's one of my life enjoyments. Cooking for my husband, fantastic, love it. That's creativity, isn't it? Cooking, for sure. Okay, life enjoyments. So another 30 seconds on this one and we'll keep going. Life enjoyments. And what I'll do is I will post these in the Facebook group and on the email that I'll send out later as well about this call, with these on the email and in the Facebook group on the post, so that you can practice this, because it's a really good practice whenever you're feeling like the inner critic is knocking on the door. Practicing this, especially before you go and do the thing, is really, really powerful. Your inner critic is like, it's taking a hike, right? It's taking a hike. Okay, the next one, intentions. Good intentions, right? What would you like to experience? Good intentions. What are your intentions? Are your intentions to be an appreciative or grateful person, or do you have intentions of gratitude? What are your intentions in life? Do you intend to have a successful business, a beautiful relationship with your partner or with your friends? What are your intentions? What are your positive intentions? Charlotte says community. Amazing. Yes, And Suki says, enjoying nature, parks and halls. Yes, to the hot stone massage and sauna. Yes, I had a sauna today. It was so good. Charlotte says, have stronger relationships with people. Fantastic. I love it. Positive intentions. What are your intentions in life? What do you intend to do that feels good? Right? To not overspend. Yeah, love it. To be kind. Fantastic. What do you intend? What are your positive intentions? Okay, another couple of seconds on that one. And then we'll move on to the next one. And the next one is, yep, to pray often. I love it. Yep, I like to meditate. I'm trying to meditate twice a day currently. And it's just, I need to put it in my diary. I need to have it on my phone as a reminder that flashes up. Otherwise, I will completely forget. Okay, so yeah, what are your intentions in life? I intend to meditate twice a day. It's going on my list. Okay. The next one. Oh, so he says, help my son develop into a successful person, educate him and give him a good guidance later in life. Have a caring, loving life with someone. I love it, Suki. Beautiful. And that you shall have. Wave my magic wand. There you go. Bing, it's yours. The next one is good habits. What are our good habits? I would like to believe that I am polite and well-mannered. And that, I feel, is a good habit. I would like to believe that my good habits are I drink a lot of water and I have a good diet. But it didn't used to be like that. I used to drink a lot of other things that are not water. And I used to eat badly because I didn't know how to nourish myself and nurture myself, because I had been brought up in an environment where there was very little nurturement and very little emotional nourishment, right? I always had plenty of food on the table, but there was very little care and kindness and love and like emotional nourishment. So that's something that I've had to, and that manifested in having a poor diet, right? I didn't believe that I was, deep down, didn't believe that I was worthy of nourishment and good food, healthy food. I would always leave it to the last minute till I was like really hungry before I ate, and then I would snack. So courteous, kind, look after myself, don't deprive my well-being. Amazing. I love it. Thank you, Suki. Tony says, I exercise 5 days a week from 7:30 to 8:15 with a virtual group that started during the height of COVID. I love it, Tony. That's fantastic. What a great habit. Yeah, I like to exercise too. I work out 3 to 4 times a week. And do you know what else I've learned to do? I have learned how to set boundaries, so, and stick with them. So I'm darn sure I'm putting that on my list. Set boundaries with myself and others. That's a good habit. It's taken me practice, and it's taken me a lot of emotional turmoil and pain, especially when it comes to saying no to people who you've never said no to in your life and who are expecting you to say yes. Oh, thanks, Charlotte. Yeah, it's been a challenge, but I believe that we can put our minds to anything, right? We can do whatever we want to do. We have to get behind it, right? We have to emotionally and energetically and mentally and physically get behind it. We have to figure out why we want to do the thing. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to feel healthy, right? I'm in my late 30s. I'll be hitting 40 very soon. And I feel like I wanted to, before I hit that age, feel like the best I've ever felt in my life, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So I made that decision because it's my life and it's my decision to make, right? No one else can make that decision for me. And I had enough of waking up feeling crap and feeling guilty and shaming myself, right? Because I was teaching other people around me that that's what you do. And that's not a good way to guide others and teach others. And what I like to say to this group is, people don't do what you say, they do what you do. People are watching us all the time, subconsciously, right? Unconsciously, watching what we do, watching how we behave. People are modeling themselves and their relationships with themselves on us, on what we do, on how we treat ourselves. So if you can't treat yourself with respect for you, then if you find that difficult, if you can't accept yourself for you, then accept yourself for others, so that we can allow others to accept themselves, right? And this is a really powerful one if you have kids or grandkids or whatever. If you can't accept yourself for you just yet, because you can and you will, I believe that you will, absolutely, you can accept yourself at some point, right? It takes a while. But if you can't do that for you just now, then do it for others. Okay, perfect. So the next one is jobs, right? Jobs. Tony says, yes, modeling to our children and grands and friends and family. Yes, I'm proud of my mum's great modeling. Amazing. I love it. Fantastic. Okay, jobs. So the next one is jobs. What have you done? Have you done anything in the past work-wise that has been really, really good? Have you felt really good? Something that you can add to your confidence credit score that makes you feel really proud, right? Perhaps you had your own business, or perhaps you got to do something or experience something or see something. I have had the absolute privilege of not having a job, right? I've worked for myself for a very long time. And I think that I really like that. Like I am not one for 9 to 5, shall we just say. I like to make up my own hours and I like to do my own thing. And I feel that the life that I have had over this past 10, 15 years of working for myself has been extremely powerful, and I love it. It's so good. You can do it, Ashley. Anyone can do it. That's that. You have to get behind it, right? Believe it is possible for you, regardless of what other people say and do, right? Because I grew up in a family where my dad worked too much and my mum didn't work at all. And I got brought up in this, in between this, like this tug of war between what you have to do and what you should do and all this kind of stuff. And I decided to make up my own rules at the end of the day. Tony says, family interstate trucking company. Awesome. Children youth administrator for my church. Fantastic, Tony. That's beautiful. I love it. Well done. Okay. So another couple of seconds on jobs, and then we will move on. Yay, Suki. I would like my job prospects to be improved as work has been contracted and temporary to raising my son on my own. Yeah, absolutely. And it will improve, especially if you can get behind it, especially if you can accept yourself, if we can accept ourselves just as we are in this moment, regardless of what we're doing and how we feel, or what our current experience is. We can have a different experience, especially when we get behind it emotionally, especially when we start to do the inner work, right? When we start to do the inner child work. Okay, so what about thinking about childhood? What were you like as a child? Positive aspects of yourself as a child, right? And this is a question that we do when we do our true self exercise that we do sometimes in this class. So thinking back to yourself in childhood, what positive aspects did you have that you perhaps don't have anymore? But like playful, bold, confident, passionate, optimistic. Absolutely, exactly. Write that down. So write down your childhood aspects on your paper. So positive childhood aspects. Like bold, confident, loving, supportive, compassionate, passionate, fun, excited, optimistic, positive, friendly, playful, creative, things like that. Sassy, talkative, confident. Said confident already, but I like to just throw it in a couple of times because that's what we're here for. Living in the moment. Love it. Yes. Present. right? Present. The present moment is the gift, is the present. Cool, okay. And as well, if you're thinking about this one, is there anything in childhood where you had something to celebrate, right? So child celebrations in childhood. So birthdays, experiences, wins, celebrations in childhood. Anything to celebrate. Parties that you can remember. Write that down. We used to have a Halloween party every year, and my dad used to do fireworks in the back garden, and it was so fun. We used to play like Pass the Parcel and other party games, bobbing for apples and things like that. It was lots of fun. So Halloween parties, that's a great memory that like helps me to feel like, yes, that was so fun. Any celebrations in childhood? And then we're going to do the last question in the next minute or so. Celebrations in childhood or in life, I guess. We maybe covered that one already, but anything else you can think of where you celebrate, you're celebrating something. I would say that passing my driver's test, right? Passing my driving test was a big celebration for me. So I'm going to write that down. I was 17. Getting into college was a huge one for me, and moving away from home also. Yay, festive parties. Yep, still do that yearly thing. Amazing. Love it. So getting into college and moving away from home. And these are all things that we did on our own. Yes, okay, we might have had some support from others, but we did these things. We are these things. We be these things, right? So the last question, it will be celebrating. It will be a celebration and liberating. Absolutely, Suki. Absolutely. Here's the thing, right? Can you tap into that right now? Can you tap into that liberation right now and that celebration right now? Like imagine it's just happened, and how would you feel if that was to happen? And how, you know, because I love doing that. Like if there's something that I want to experience in the future, then I'll get behind it emotionally right now. Like I'll feel the feelings that I want to feel right now. Because human beings believe that we'll feel good when we get the thing, right? When I get the thing, then I'll feel good, right? When I get the thing, when this thing happens, then I'll feel good. But unless we feel good now, it, you know, like we're chasing our tails. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. So we've got a little bit of work to do on that, and that's all good. Amazing. Okay, perfect. So the last question is obstacles overcome, right? Think about all the obstacles that you overcame in life so far. And this is a big one, because I'll bet many of us have overcome many things, adversity, other people, situations, trauma, lots of things, right? Mistakes, making mistakes, right? Put that down. If you made a mistake and you learned from it, then that is a win. That is actually a win. That is something to celebrate because it's a learning opportunity for you. If you had something happen to you and now you know, now you feel like you know yourself better for it, for experiencing it. And this isn't to obviously make light of things that have happened to us, because, you know, we can experience some pretty awful things, right? But it's just to appreciate ourselves as human beings going through this stuff, and we're still here. Not only are we still alive, but we're freaking here, right? We're all right here in this moment right now. How awesome is that? I think that's so awesome, and something that I really want to celebrate is the fact that we're all here right now in this moment, regardless of the stuff that we've all went through in life. Yeah, so yeah, I feel that one for sure. Yeah, you didn't want me to be in relationships, but yeah, totally. That's a huge obstacle to come to overcome, right? Especially in a cultural perspective, right? If we're in cultures that where we have to do things that we don't want to do, and then we get out of it, that can be such a huge thing, right? Culturally, and something that we have done, right? Something that we have done ourselves. Yes, okay, we might have had support from various people, but we had to do the thing. It was us that did the thing. So I just want to celebrate that for a moment, for overcoming obstacles. Perhaps you overcame an aspect of mental health or physical health or emotional health where you didn't feel well, or you had an illness or something happened. Yep, that's just answered my question, Charlotte. Suki says, I was very brave to take courage myself as I got it in the face by certain people I don't want to see. Absolutely, Suki. No, of course. Yeah, I'm sure you did. I believe you 100%. And you are very brave. Like, I would say that we're all very brave. Absolutely. I mean, goodness me, we've all been through some extreme stuff, which I feel is why we're here in this life, but also on this call, because I want us to all celebrate each other for the things that we have overcome. Charlotte says, getting through uni with undiagnosed mental illness. Absolutely. That is huge. That's such a huge obstacle that you overcame, Charlotte. That's so commendable and awesome. So yeah, we see you for that. Absolutely. So yeah, like dyslexia, depression, ADHD, autism, these things, right, that especially as women, and men too, obviously, but I feel like women are taught we have to kind of grin and bear it a lot of the time. We have to cope. We have to learn how to cope because we have people to take care of and we have things to do. So we just put on a mask and we learn how to cope with all these things. I want to celebrate the coping, right? I want to celebrate the fact that we got on with it. We did the thing. But then also as well, I want to celebrate the fact that we now are aware. Now we know that we have the thing, that we've done the thing, that we coped with the thing. And now we can look at it and we can go, okay. Like our self-confidence, right? We've coped with it for so long thus far. And now we're looking at it, we're going, yeah, this could do with a little bit of work. Right, this could do with a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of upgrading, which is why we're here, which is freaking awesome. So, obstacles overcome. Absolutely, Charlotte. That's a very important one as well. Because again, like culturally, it's been very difficult. It's been very challenging for lots of people to experience that. And it still is for a lot of people, culturally, socially, whatever. But it's an amazing obstacle. It's an amazing thing to overcome and to be true to ourselves, right? Living in our truth for sure. And it's something that we focus on a lot on these calls is our true self, right? We have the true self and we have the false self. And the true self is the human being that was born into this world, the confident, you look at toddlers and kids running around, they're confident, they're fearless, they're bold, they're expressive, they're creative, they're playful. That is our true confident self. And as we grow up, we have to take on roles. We reject ourselves. We reject the true self and we create this false self, this lens that we live our lives through. And we experience a lot of emotional pain because we're rejecting that part of ourselves. We're rejecting our true self. So there's something that we do quite a lot on this call. So we look at those roles and that false self and we look at the true self when we come back to the true self. So yes, absolutely. Okay, I want you to look at your list now. I want you to look at that confidence credit score. Have a look at that list. How do you feel when you look at that list? How do you feel when you look at that list? Really nice. Awesome. Can you describe it more? I want you to write at the bottom of this list how you feel when you look at this list. Satisfied, proud, encouraged, excited, enthusiastic, whole. Yes, Raquel, I love it. Whole, complete, surprised. Amazing, Charlotte, I love it. Raquel, you hit the nail on the head right there. I'm looking at a whole person, like someone who's complete. Yep. There's no flaws there. There's no, yeah, okay, we're not perfect, right? But there's nothing bad. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing shameful about this human being. This is a good being. Remember what I said earlier about at your core, you are a good human being. You have done some amazing things. You are an amazing being. You're a good person. Suki says, great. Put myself first and prioritize. Fantastic. Tony says, not too bad. Enjoying life. Amazing. Let's go deeper with this, right? Let's really get some yummy emotions, right? So place one hand or both hands in the center of your chest, breathe in and out, and tap into that list. Really look at that list. What comes up for you? Who are you really? How do you feel about yourself? And what do you think about yourself right now? Raquel says, light, more confident. Perfect. Write that down. Because this will help not only your confidence, but your self-esteem and your self-concept, right? Your self-esteem is how you feel about yourself, and your self-concept is what you think about yourself, right? So looking at that list right now, what do you think about yourself? How do you feel about yourself? And notice, right? Again, that inner critic, if we are so used to treading that path with the inner critic just wants to come in and smash it all down. But we're saying no, right? Right now, we're saying no, enough to the inner critic, looking at how much we've done and who we are really as a human being. Lovely, Tony. I love it. A good wife, mum, grandmum, friend, sister, and I appreciate my life. Fantastic. I love it. Awesome. Content, happy, value myself. Amazing, Suki. I love it. Can we feel satisfied? Can we allow ourselves to feel satisfied and whole? Charlotte says, great, resilient, joyful person. Love it. Amazing. Yeah, resilient. Yes, we're so freaking resilient. Let's celebrate our resilience. Let's celebrate our joy. Let's celebrate who we are. Can we feel satisfied? Can we feel whole? Can we feel actually we're doing pretty good, right? Determined, strong. Love it, Ashley. Absolutely. We're so strong. We're so resilient. We're so strong, but we have opportunities to be soft as well, right? We have opportunities to be loving, exactly, responsible. Support and inspiration is important and a big thing. And I'll bet, Suki, that you are a support and inspiration to other people, right? I'll bet that all of us here, we're all support and inspiration to others. And this is why this work is so important, because people look to us. People are looking to us consciously and unconsciously, subconsciously looking at us. And not only are they looking at what we're doing, but they're looking at how we be. We look at who we are as a being, as a human being. And I'd say right now in this, looking at this list or thinking about what you've got written down on your list, as a being, you're pretty badass. Like, you're pretty good. You're pretty like courageous. Yeah, absolutely. You're pretty good. Like, you're very good, in fact. Looking at this list, can we radically, unconditionally play with accepting ourselves? Can we play with unconditionally, radically accepting ourselves? Answer that question to me right now. Can we? Certainly feels much closer. Not as much resistance. Absolutely. This is where the work is. We're carving that path. We're carving that new neural pathway in the snow, right? Inner critic comes up. No, enough. Looking at my confidence credit score. Depends on how much you consider negative judgment. Well, remember what I said earlier, Suki, about any negative judgment that is projected onto you. If you have made a mistake, then it's a perfect learning opportunity for you, right? And perhaps that person is making that criticism or that judgment to help you, right? And then, you know, in our heads, it feels hurtful, but actually they're just trying to help us out or give us feedback. Perhaps it's come out a little bit more critical than what we would prefer. But if it's something that's is cruel or toxic and particularly negative, then that, I believe, has very little to do with us and has a lot more about what they've got going on at an emotional level. It's about what they've got going on within their inner critic. Because remember, our inner critic gets so powered up and then starts to project it onto others. So we have to ask the question, with critical people, when we're being criticized and judged, the person that's making the criticism, the person that's doing the judging, what kind of a relationship do they have with themselves? Do they have a confidence credit score? Probably not. Have they ever done a confidence credit score? Probably not. What kind of relationship do they have with themselves? Probably quite a negative relationship, right? The relationship between ourselves and ourselves is the most important relationship that we will ever have. So it's up to us to cultivate this relationship and nurture this relationship. Looking at this list right now, if we were to think about the inner child now, which we were thinking about earlier, is it easier for us to radically and unconditionally accept the inner child now? That version of us who was trying to do the thing and couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good. And if it's not after doing this exercise, the confidence credit score, and it still is difficult to radically and unconditionally accept the inner child, then we must ask the question, is it unsafe to accept the inner child as they are? Warts and all, mistakes and all. If it is unsafe, if that's a yes to that question, why? Why is it unsafe? Why does it feel unsafe to accept my inner child as they are after looking at this list? Do we fear that they might make more mistakes? Because they probably won't, because they are now you. And you have learned that lesson. If there was a lesson to be learned, you learned it. It feels unsafe, perhaps. And this is me talking through experience and what I have young and naive. Absolutely, Suki, yeah. we know more now, right? We know more. We are beings with more knowledge and life experience. Life experience is the best teacher. And I speak this through my own experience and working on my own inner critic and with my own inner child. I can't ask people to do the work that I have not done myself. So personally, it wasn't safe for me to accept my inner child because she'd been so unaccepted most of her life by other people that I didn't know how to accept myself. So I had to create a baseline for what acceptance really feels like, which is not that easy to do, right? But with practice, it can be done. The way that I did it was I accepted other people. I had loved ones in my life, pets, that I could accept radically and unconditionally, no matter what, right? My cat is sick on the carpet. I still love my cat, right? So therefore, I can transfer that radical, unconditional acceptance for my cat to my inner child. And that became the practice, that became the work. I had to create the acceptance somehow, and that's the way that I chose to do it. Perhaps another way where you might feel like it's not safe to accept your inner child is because that it feels safer to for us to reject our inner child. Because if others were to do it, that would be too painful. So we pre-reject ourselves, right? We pre-reject. We don't accept ourselves because we know that we're going to be unaccepted or rejected in life. So it feels safer if we do it to ourselves first. And to that, I say, there's 8 billion people on the planet currently, roughly. Is every single person, that's a lot of people, is every single person on this planet going to unaccept you or reject you? Are there people out there who may accept you, right? This group, for example, me, I accept you. I don't know you, but I accept you, because why would I not? There may be other people in your life that accept you. There are many, many people in the world who accept you unconditionally and radically. So if that's the case, then why can't you accept yourself as you are unconditionally in the moment? And this is where the work is, right? This is what I do with my clients every week, every day, right? This is the work. This is where the work is. We go through this work and we drill down to our core belief system. Our emotions and our belief system is like an onion. It's like Shrek, right? Shrek's an onion, remember? So at the core, every layer has another emotion, right? Powerlessness, not good enoughness, shame, whatever it is. And there will be a core there, right? With a memory or an experience or multiple experiences at this core. And we strip back to the core and we look at it and we go, is this really our truth? Is this really the truth? Yes or no? And we get to decide. And that is how we then embed new feelings. We go back and we do inner child work. I do a lot of guided meditation in my sessions where we go back and do work with the inner child, and you have me to guide you through the process. And we actually change history, right? We can change history because now is all we ever have. We can go back, and this is how powerful this work is. We can actually go back and we can change our past. It's phenomenal and I love it. Suki says, you only mature and develop by making mistakes, especially when you were young. Yes, absolutely. Like the baby who is learning to walk, right? The baby who's learning to walk falls back down, then gets up again, falls down probably more times when it's starting out than it walks, right? So when it comes to this work, we have to treat ourselves with compassion, with patience, like we would the baby who's learning to walk. We have to give ourselves the nourishing, nurturement, the confidence credit score. We have to give ourselves the standing up for ourselves, the sticking up for ourselves. And if that is too challenging to do on your own, then I highly recommend that you get a coach, a counselor, or therapist. I am a coach and a counselor. So I do sessions 1 hour a week, one-on-one with my clients via Zoom. I work with my clients for a minimum 3 months because that is how long I feel it takes for us to create new neural pathways. And it's so subtle because we're doing it every week and we're working with the emotional body and the physical body as well as the mental body, right? And the changes are so subtle and natural. So I will put a link in the email that I'm going to send you with a link to set up a call with me, a free 30-minute consultation if you're interested in working with me. I keep my rates low so that I can help as many people as I can. It works out to about £80 a session, which is low for the kind of work that I do. But obviously as well, these classes are always free and they're always open to everyone. You can come to as many as you like, and you can, watch the replays on Facebook as well and come join the group. This class will be the last one until mid-April because I am studying. I'm doing another certification in complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I am launching a course. I'm launching an online course called Feel Safe to Be Seen. Oh, Raquel, you're not on the emails. I'll add you. Pretty sure you are, but I'll double check. My digital course, my online course, is called Feeling Safe to Be Seen. I'm really excited because I'm doing a photo shoot for the branding tomorrow, and I'm really excited. It's gonna be awesome. And that will be launching in the next couple of weeks, so I'll send you an email out about that. Is there a session next week, or when's the next one? So the next one is probably going to be, I think it's the 20th of April. Let me just double check my diary. I haven't booked it in on Eventbrite yet. Yes, the next one is going to be the Thursday, the 20th of April. Thanks, Raquel. Yeah, excited. I'm super excited about it. I'm going to be adding more trauma therapy into my work for sure. I've been doing a lot of it anyway, but I'm just kind of like laser focusing, honing my skills with it. So yeah, the next free session, next free class is the 20th of April. I'm going to pop a link in the chat right now for the Facebook group. If you haven't joined already, come and join us. Watch the replays of these classes. I think there's like 5 or 6 replays in there already. And there we go. So come in and join the Facebook group. Yes, I will send you an email, Suki. You're on my mailing list, Suki, so you should get one. Yes, so homework for next week before Ashley reminds me, she's so good at reminding me about homework. Your homework this week is to continue adding to your confidence credit score. Keep a lookout for your inner critic. Keep an eye out, an ear out, whatever you want to, a listen, an internal listen for your inner critic and your external critic, right? Your outer critic. Because remember, your inner critic focuses on yourself and your outer critic focuses on other people. So add to your confidence credit score. And every time you feel that inner critic pop up, get this credit score out. Think about the credit score, right? Tell that inner critic part of you, you can tell them to F off if you like. Like I like telling mine to shut up. Just, I say it internally. Obviously, I don't like walking around going, shut up. But you can tell yourself, your inner critic, whatever you want and it takes practice again. But the more we focus on our confidence credit scores, the more we focus on accepting ourselves, radically and unconditionally accepting ourselves, the more the inner critic shrinks. And we can do the thing that we want to do, because self-confidence is all about the energy that we bring when we're doing the thing. That rhymes. It's all about the energy we bring when we're doing the thing. So when you want to stand up and talk, right, in public, or have more loving, confident relationships, or with your job, or whatever it is, if you're in your inner critic, right, your inner critic's giving it all this, and you go to do the thing, it's not going to feel good. But if you are in your confidence credit score, and you are tapped into yourself, right, all the things that you have done and all the things that you are, and you go and do the thing, it's a different way altogether. It's a game changer, big time. You know within yourself right now, because you hopefully feel better. Hopefully after doing the confidence credit score exercise, you're feeling more confident. So does anyone have any comments or questions about our class tonight before we close off? Yay, you're so welcome, Raquel. Yay. I know it's a year tonight. It's crazy. A year tonight since I started. So good. Yay, Suki, Ashley, you're so welcome. So new members, I'll add you on to I'll send you an email later with my with all the links and stuff to book a call with me. And this work is phenomenal. Like, if you want to take it to the next level, come and chat with me about doing 3 months, a block of sessions with me. Obviously the free stuff is great, right? But we can only go so far. We can only do so much in this time. Oh, you're welcome, Ramina. Yay, Liz. Absolutely. Awesome. Charlotte, thank you. Raquel, yay. Yeah, we can only do so much in these classes. We're limited. I can't work with anyone specifically on a one-on-one basis like I can in the individual private sessions. I am a trained counselor and I'm a trained coach. So that's my job, that's my thing, that's my jam, that's what I do. Have a beautiful weekend, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day, whatever time it is. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming along and hanging out with us. And I will, if you don't have any comments or questions, you're free to go, and I'll see you very soon. Lots of love. Yay. You're welcome, Tony. Thanks, Sugi. Yes. Bye, Liz. You're welcome, Maria. Yay. You're welcome, Kelly. Amazing. Thanks, Moira. See you soon, guys. Everyone have a beautiful rest of your evening.